Am I the a hole for ruining my sister's wedding by leaving early and calling out the groom's racist comments? It's 12:24 a.m. I'm sitting in my car outside a Waffle House because my phone hasn't stopped vibrating since I walked out of my sister's wedding. Right now, I'm toggling between rage, heartbreak, and that numb kind of exhaustion where you question your whole damn family. So, here we go. I'm a 24-year-old woman. My sister Jasmine, 28F, just got married. It was supposed to be a beautiful day. It was for a while. But then her new husband, we'll call him Grant because of course his name is Grant, opened his mouth. Some context. I come from a Blasian family. Our dad is Japanese, our mom is Bahamian, and together they created 5 kids who are proud of who they are. Jasmine and I were close once, not just in that we shared a room growing up kind of way, but soul close. We were each other's protectors. Then she met Grant. Now, Grant is the kind of man who owns a Patagonia vest for each season, uses I don't see color as a personality trait, and once told me he was just fascinated by mixed girls. He gives big, I'm not racist, I'm just observant energy. The kind of guy who genuinely believes he's an ally because he watched Black Panther twice and clapped at the end. And his family? Picture a country club where everyone's permanently stuck in 1983. Grant's mother, who I think might actually be auditioning for a role in The Help 2, Suburban Edition, once referred to our family as so colorful, complete with that tight, patronizing smile that's code for you people. His father just looks perpetually exhausted. I don't think I've ever heard him say more than 10 words in succession. The only one in that family with a pulse and a soul is Grant's sister, who's 6 months pregnant and clearly on a mental vacation the entire time. When she saw her brother grab the mic at the reception, she literally whispered, "Jesus, take the mic," and took a sip of her water like it was whiskey. The ceremony was fine. Jasmine looked radiant. My mom was teary-eyed. Even my dad, who's a former Marine and built like a retired samurai, got misty-eyed. I thought, maybe this won't be so bad. Maybe Grant will keep his weirdness in check for one night. I was wrong. During the reception, Grant stood up for his toast and started with what I can only describe as a live audition for white men who should never do stand-up. He joked about how Jasmine tamed him, how he'd never dated a spicy mix before, and how our family brings a lot of flavor to the table. I could actually feel the air shift in the room, like someone had turned up the cringe dial to 11. I looked around. People were laughing. Jasmine? She was laughing the hardest of all. Full-on shoulder shaking, tears in her eyes, laughter. I turned to my dad, hoping for some solidarity, and saw that look he gets, the one where his face is totally blank, but his fists are clenched under the table. I excused myself. I needed air. I needed to not commit a felony in a floor-length bridesmaid dress. When I came back inside, things got worse. Grant's mom walked up to me, fully unprompted, and said, "Don't worry, sweetie. You'll find a young man who appreciates your uniqueness." She said it like she was offering me a seat at the kids' table. I blinked, barely keeping it together, and replied, "I'm gay, but thanks." Apparently, that was rude. I left not long after. But before I went, I pulled Jasmine aside, gave her one last hug, and whispered, not yelled, not made a scene, "Your in-laws are deeply racist. Grant is worse. And one day, someone less composed than me is going to tell him that with their fists." She stared at me like I'd slapped her. I gave her one last look, turned around, and walked out. Since then, my phone has exploded. Jasmine texted to say I embarrassed her in front of Grant's family and ruined the happiest day of her life. She called me selfish. Dramatic. My cousin sent screenshots of her dragging me in the family group chat. My mom texted me saying she understood, but wished I'd waited until after the reception to speak up. My dad, God bless him, just sent a gif of Kermit sipping tea. So, am I the a-hole? Was I wrong to call it out? Should I have smiled and clapped and watched my sister lock herself into a life with a man who treats racism like stand-up material? Edit, because apparently some of you think I'm exaggerating, or that I waited until the last moment to care. I've been speaking up. For years. Jasmine has just never cared enough to listen. Let me give you a little timeline. Age 16. First meeting with Grant. He looks me dead in the eye and says, "Wow, you're like half harder slur, half anti-Chinese slur, right? That's wild." I am not Chinese. Not even a little bit. My dad had to physically get up and walk away. Jasmine laughed and said, "He doesn't mean it like that." I was a kid. A child. And she let that ride. College admission. Christmas dinner. When I got into college, Grant smiled and said, You'll get hired fast. Companies love checking both the Asian box and the gay box these days. Jasmine told me he was just jealous. Barbecue 2 years ago. He meets my girlfriend, Afro-Latina, brilliant, beautiful, and says, "Do you two argue over who's more press?" Then follows with, "You're doing a great job proving gays can be spicy too." I told Jasmine afterward, "This isn't just ignorance. It's targeted. It's malicious." She rolled her eyes and said, "He's just bad at jokes." She doesn't want to see it. Maybe because she's afraid. Maybe because she thinks marrying someone white means she won. Maybe because she's too deep in now to admit she messed up. But I've tried. I've swallowed my pride. I've been silent when I shouldn't have. Tonight I was done. So was I the a-hole for saying enough is enough? For refusing to dance and clap and pretend like I didn't just watch my sister laugh at her own dehumanization? Because I didn't ruin the wedding. The racism did.